What's up, everybody? Welcome to our reboot. I don't know if you're familiar with our older show of our older Ninja Alert show, but we are rebooting with an Ordinals focus. We're still deciding on the name, so let us know if you like the name in the comments. Bitcoin Ordinal Banter. That's at least the first day. We're joined by two
Wait,
very.
that's where. Wait. Where we come up with that? Where,
Uh,
where was I? Bitcoin Ordinal Banter? Did you say
yeah,
Banter?
I thought you were in on this, Ken. I mean, you talked about this ahead of time. You didn't like the banter. That wasn't
Banter?
your thing.
Who chose the Banter part?
Hey,
Sorry
man.
to interrupt you. Go ahead, Chris.
We'll see if our guests like it. We have Charlie and we have Nick. Called him by his Web3 name originally, but he said we can call him Nick. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Sup, GM? It's always GM somewhere. I'm doing fantastic.
Good, good.
Likewise, GM. Thanks for having us.
And I like Bitcoin Ordinals Banter. I'm kind of surprised that I can't think of another show called Bitcoin Banter off the top of my head. But yeah, it's the first time I've heard this specific title. So I think your SEO works.
See, there it is. I was thinking Bitcoin banter was a really good play on words, but like we have to throw ordinals in there, of course, because like this is gonna have a huge ordinals focus, which is hint you guys. I was gonna go through all your credentials, but you have so many. I mean, you alone, Charlie, you have 3 different companies from work and 2 personal just in your bio. And Nick actually works for Magic Eden. It looks like I caught up on your pinned tweet. You are actually the senior ecosystem manager of the Bitcoin for Magic Eden. I want to hear a little bit about both of you. So, like, whoever wants to go first, just tell us about
Hold on,
yourselves and
Chris. Hold
your
on.
experience with ordinals.
No,
What's up?
Chris. Remember that? You heard that?
What?
It didn't go through. Okay. Sorry about that. The air horns didn't go through. I still have to connect that. This is our first show back, so we're gonna have these because I was trying to do some claps, some applause for you guys. What was that?
I got you, bro. I did the sad trombone bands. Yours failed.
I've actually got an air horn on my end. Ken, you just give me the sign. I can do an air horn.
Oh, let it rip. Let it rip. Just
Air
go for
horn.
it.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Some energy
There
going
you
on
go.
in here.
I think I'm the new producer.
Yes.
Hey man, if you want to be a regular, we're just getting this started. So Charlie, while you're at it, can you tell us a little bit about what you do as far as in the Ordinals ecosystem?
Dude, I just showed up at the right Discord at the right time, and then that turned into a whole career pivot. I mean, I've been in Bitcoin for a while, mainly Bitcoin mining. I mean, you can see behind me, if you're watching the stream, you can see I've got the Bitcoin mining rigs right behind me. Those are some of my own. I run those. I got a few sites here in the central US, but no, happened to be kind of early involved in the Ordinals ecosystem, pretty close with Casey and the handful of people who are building that, and that turned into me joining Luxor to run Ordinal Hub, which is a more kind of Ordinals focused branch of the business. And so we build a lot of interesting kind of under the hood stuff. And yeah, that's kind of a high level intro.
I did forget to mention earlier, I saw chat coming in, Daniel Marquez. If you guys want to be in chat, you can say stuff directly on X, but it doesn't actually show us through the back end. We are actually live on our Ninja Alerts YouTube as well if you want to join in on there. But yeah, Charlie, thank you for that awesome introduction. Ordinal Hub, I've definitely heard of you guys for sure. I'm already following. I guess I've been following for a while. And yeah, man, sometimes just show like I see this a lot, but like you were saying, you were just in the Discord at the right time. Like just showing up really grants you a ton of opportunity.
Yeah, it's one of those things where timing and place just happen to line up. So I've been like a long time Bitcoiner, right? But it's been heretical to like NFTs, and I've always liked NFTs, but I just didn't talk about that much. So this was the perfect onboarding thing. I was like, oh, you can do this on Bitcoin. Great. I've always been here. I'm happy for this to finally come to the ecosystem I love. So that's how I found myself here.
I have to ask because my mind just goes directly to the gutter. Was Ord Hub ever in the equation? Did that ever come across, or is that why you guys went with Ordinal Hub?
It's funny you mentioned that because the original logo of Ordinal Hub looked a little different. It looked a little more salacious, you could say. So yeah, if you dig deep and you look through archive.org, you can actually see the old original Ordinal Hub logo, and it's exactly what you think it looks like.
That's hilarious, and you probably used the orange and black Ordinals colors, of course.
Halloween colors. We're back. It's
Halloween
October,
colors.
so that's actually no. It was Pornhub colors.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome, man. So, what's up, Nick? How's it going? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently doing with Magic Eden?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not as cool as Charlie, so I almost wish I went first. He's got such a cooler background than me. I'm kind of just on the latter part where he said he likes NFTs. I don't have the mining and stuff. So, yeah, I'm the ecosystem manager for Bitcoin at Magic Eden. I've been with the company since like early 2020, or actually late 2021, and yeah, kind of just was like a Web 2 dude. Trickled into NFTs a little bit on Solana at first, and met with like the co-founders and stuff early on. They were like, "You should totally work with us." I was like, "I don't know, I got a pretty good job," and then I just went like full Frank Reynolds. Dove into full time NFTs with Magic Eden. Things just started booming, and then fast forward to today. I think other chains get a little crazy and stuff, and Bitcoin popped up, and I mean, who's going to fade the opportunity of early ordinals? So it was just like, hey, can I work on this? And yeah, it got moved over, and now it's kind of just the day to day with Ordinals and Magic Eden, just making sure that we're super dialed into the community, into the innovation, working with creators a lot, like with all of our product suite, and just kind of being like a pulse on all that, and helping to like I'd say like almost like account manage the ecosystem with Magic Eden and keep things in check on our side, because things move very fast. So it's definitely a full-time job.
Man, I love it. I remember when Magic Eden like pretty quickly started supporting Ordinals. I was so excited. We joke about it a lot. Ken and I do. We're both like ETH degens and kind of degen on other chains. So when Ordinals first launched, it was kind of not in our alley. Like it was a little bit more complicated. Everybody's like, "Oh, if only I was early." Well, like being early means you had to like set up a node and like go through a list of list of instructions in order to be early to
Mhm.
Ordinals. So once it became easier access through like marketplaces that we were familiar with, I was like, man, okay, I kind of see where this is heading. And I mean, Magic Eden was one of the first marketplaces that I used for secondary market for Ordinals.
Yeah, it was a really fun. That was like absolutely electric when we were going to market on Ordinals, because everyone was just super excited, and the bear market was pretty tough, when you're on other chains, and this kind of felt like a little. It was like an unfair bull market in the bear market when Ordinals were first like really picking up steam and everything. So yeah, that was a blast. But yeah, it's been fun ever since too, and definitely so much going on. And speaking of like old logos, a fun fact about Magic Eden, they were actually going to name themselves Peta Bay. So that's
Wait,
pretty,
what?
yeah, really weird name also. So I think it worked out, but just like, yeah, when you think about these decisions, it's kind of funny imagining like what if sometimes.
Wow. I'm sure they would have had to rebrand eventually. I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Peta Bay?
Yeah, Peta Bay. So imagine you had Ord Hub and Peta Bay running
So
Ordinals.
the question then has to be like, was there a V1 for ninja alerts? I mean, was it I don't know, Shogun alerts, samurai alerts? I don't know.
Well,
I sh-
we did have V1, but it was just more design and feature changes. It's been Ninja Alert since day one. At least when we onto the team, it was already Ninja Alert, so we we were in here for the previous names and Pornhub colors and stuff like that. I'm sure it was there. When we have Trevor on this show, I'm sure he's gonna give us the lowdown about the design decisions earlier on during the company. But let's just jump right into Ordinals. Ghost inscriptions. What the hell is that, Charlie?
Oh man, okay, so there's only been a couple tweets about this, and there's not really that many people who talk about this because it is kind of technical, but I think I can explain it. Um, and it's basically
Please do.
if you're familiar with this idea, these curse inscriptions, right? There's different types of curse inscriptions. There are inscriptions that aren't seen or recognized by the Ord client initially. And then Raf, the lead maintainer of the Ord reference client repo, kind of listed off, here's all the versions of the cursed inscriptions. Well, we discovered a new type of cursed inscription, which my business associate, Cypher, just kind of threw out there and called ghost inscriptions. And we actually discovered it back in May. And we actually discovered it on a live stream that we were doing on our Ordinal Hub YouTube, talking about cursed inscriptions. I think it kind of fell by the wayside. So they're a new type of cursed inscription that basically in the inscription envelope, where you have what's called the protocol identifier, the ORD envelope. In that envelope, you have different what are called opcode pushes. They're like little commands that say, I'm going to push some data, and all this data is going to be linked together, and that's your JPEG. But when we use like different types of opcodes, that can throw off the indexer. What's up, Ken?
Yeah, just let's step a little. Let's slow it down. Explain it to me as if I was 5.
Damn,
You said what turns into JPEG? The opcode?
So, okay. Let's roll the clock back. How does an inscription get onto Bitcoin? That's the big question. So, like, you got your JPEG, your PFP, right? Basically, that gets broken up into a bunch of little chunks of data and put onto Bitcoin in, like, you can think of them being like pushed onto Bitcoin. And each little push is then combined together in an envelope. And that whole envelope is the actual like chunk of data that Magic Eden and Ordinal Hub and all the other indexers read and say, this is your PFP, this is your Ninja PFP. And the way the computer actually reads that is it like sees all these little pushes of data in a chunk, all these chunks of data in an envelope. Okay, so when we push the data the wrong way, sometimes that data doesn't get seen, that inscription doesn't get recognized, and that is actually how the ghost inscription came about. People were using the wrong type of finger quotes push opcode, and I could try to go more in detail, but what it does is just that it's like this is one of those weird kind of tech edge cases of how ordinals actually work that not a lot of people knew, maybe not even Casey himself. He actually only discovered it a couple weeks ago when we were tweeting about it back and forth, and so we just called them ghost inscriptions, and it became a fun little thing. The reality is, I'm gonna have to write some Twitter threads about this to explain it. I'm gonna have to make like graphics to say, here's how the ghost inscription works. I'm gonna open up Ordinals inscriptions under the hood, and yeah. That may have been like a deep, heady way to start off the show. May have been too in the weeds, but we wanted to talk about ghost inscriptions, so that's what it is.
No, that's not too in the weeds.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's good to have a mix of like explaining like 5 versus like people who like really know the technical side of what they're talking about. Because I feel like when I get into, I tell Trevor this all the time when I go like on his spaces. Like I feel like I know a decent amount, like just generally about Web3, and then I get in spaces with people like you, and I feel dumb. I'm like can't like keep up because like I'm not like a I'm not like I guess I'm not that far technical, but it's good because I'm not the only one like that. There's a lot of, I guess Trevor would consider middle curve people that are like
middle curve is what you call us, Chris.
That's what
you
Trevor
call us middle curve, Chris.
I think I'm middle curve.
That's what Trevor calls me.
I think
that sounds like an insult somehow, like a smart insult. Oh, you're a middle curve kind of guy.
Trying to work my way, man.
Yeah, Ordinals is where like tech and culture meet. This is kind of how NFTs have always kind of bent towards the cultural side of crypto. But Ordinals right now have like this weird kind of barbell thing going on where it's like only culture and then only tech. And then there's a lot of us in the middle who try to figure out both sides. And I think that's where a lot of the advantage is, to understand both sides. So, yeah. It's a constant process to try to communicate these two different things that are going on.
If Trevor didn't give us the USB-C and the Lightning example to explain runes and how it's different from BRC20s, I would still be trying to grasp my head around the difference. I'm like, wait, why do we need runes if we have BRC20s? I'm kind of getting more and more as time goes on, but I was wanting to cover it like the first few days it was out, and I was like, man, this is getting a little bit more technical than I'm used to covering.
Runes were that thing where like even the technical people didn't quite know how to describe it because there was not an agreed upon thing to describe. It was one blog post and then a bunch of different interpretations of that blog post. And then how do you build it? That was the big question. So obviously a lot's happened since then, and we're continuing to talk about it. I think runes are fascinating.
I have a specific Nick, I have a specific question for you. Did you want to input first, Nick?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, it is funny because like some of this stuff gets so tech heavy that me not being on that side, I feel like I got to bring my engine as like a translator sometimes, as if I'm speaking another language. And even some of the stuff they put out, it's crazy. And obviously like in my job too, a lot of times I have to be the translator then again, like publicly, and go to markets are very hard in that sense sometimes. And just finding ways to simplify things. It is like an awesome blend between like tech, art, culture on Ordinals.
Yeah. Side fact before I ask you something specific, one of the reasons why I got into content around crypto and NFTs is because I was watching YouTube tutorials, and it's like some of the people were like too smart to break it down for new people like me at the time. And I was watching it and I was like, they're not breaking it down enough. Like they're still being too technical. Even though this is like a step-by-step tutorial, they'll skip over steps 3, 5, whatever steps that seem natural to them, but it's not natural to somebody who's never seen it before. So like one of the entire reasons I got into making content around this stuff is I was like, at the time, this was 2021, there wasn't a lot of content creators that were really breaking it down like people are like I'm 5. And so I tried to originally be that person that's like, okay, it took me a long time to grasp. Now I don't want to skip steps. I want it spoon fed to me. I want to spoon feed it to people. And that was like one of my first reasons getting in it. But my question for you, Nick, is as far as Magic Eden goes, why do you think they made the initiative to have Ordinals and integrate them to the platform versus their competitors that they've been competing with for a while? I don't know if you consider OpenSea a direct competitor. I guess it's kind of some market share, but like, OpenSea, or like I think Blur is like a newer one. There's a ton of other, marketplaces that were already there. But why do you think Magic Eden took the initiative to say we kind of want to explore this?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I think one, we have a chart foo monkey, which is just like an absolute anomaly and like as degen in the culture as you can get. And on the but I think honestly it goes into like our DNA. I think when it comes to like us versus some of the other competitors, like even you said OpenSea, I would say that like we're very, very dialed into this stuff, like very dialed into the community, very dialed into what's going on, and we're users ourselves. So I was joking about Charfu, but I'm actually like serious too at the same time. I'm sure you guys remember like he was very deep in the game, like grinding through like Airtable forms for people to trade and stuff, and we were enjoying it, and that's what kind of gives you exposure to this. And I don't know, I think we're kind of the company that likes to take these new bets even if they seem kind of crazy at the time, but if you have some kind of conviction in it and you see some kind of opportunity, there was something that needed to be done in this space, and we had conviction in the space. So yeah, we're just kind of like, this makes perfect sense. Let's build some products that help to exactly kind of what we were talking about, just make things easier for people and reduce friction from a product perspective. And yeah, that's kind of just like in our DNA. I do think we're very community first, which sometimes is really hard to manage. And that plays a big influence in like our product decisions and the bets that we make. And luckily, I mean, yeah, some bets obviously won't always work out, but in this case, I think it was actually really, really good bet.
I was wondering, in terms of, I can't get over the fact that Chris called me middle of the curve kind of guy. How do we spoon feed Ordinals to middle curve people so we could because we gotta onboard more people, right? That's how we keep this thing this triangle spinning. Like, how do we like dumb it down a little bit more for people? Because I remember when Ordinals popped off, I was in spaces with Trevor a lot, and it got super technical. UTXOs, OVOs, or you guys use so many key words that it took a little while for us to kind of catch on, especially when Magic Eden and other people started making it a little bit more accessible to flippers like us. We trade JPEGs. We don't run servers and stuff. So, what, in your opinion, what would be the best way to onboard more people?
I actually have an opinion because I've been thinking about this a lot. Like how, because right now everything that Ordinals, how it all works under the hood is so complicated. Even the people who build on it, like the real like software developers who know what they're doing, they have a hard time like understanding what they themselves are doing. I think it in terms of like a flow of information, where you have the far right, the smart, brilliant people over here, and the information kind of rolls across, and we need to shorten the amount of different people along the transmission from that information. And it goes like this. My brilliant friend, Cypher, is going to look at the code and he identifies some things and he'll talk about it on Twitter Space. He'll tweet about it. He'll talk about it to me. And I'm a little less technical than him. And I will try to regurgitate that in a little bit more digestible form. And then I want to hand it to someone like Trevor or Ken or Chris or Nick for you guys to put it into like normal people words. And so I think the main thing to do is we each identify the next person smarter than us and try to as quickly as possible, like take what they've said and distill it down into an even simpler, more digestible format. So it's all about the speed with which the information goes from the brilliant people from the right side of the bell curve to the left side of the bell curve, because ultimately they both need each other. We saw this past month for the numbers. The right and the left curve people need each other. So we just need to like compress it so that the smart people's words get to and they're not dumb people, the degen words. We need to get the smart people.
Nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I'm a degen too. We all are. So that's the thing. I think we need to like get much quicker iteration on the kind of communication pipeline.
Yeah. And the term NFT, is that term dead in order to move forward, or do you think it's still a viable term moving forward?
What do you think, Nick? You're in the business.
I mean, I think with normies, it is a little tarnished, honestly. And I do think what we have on Ordinals is way bigger than that. Like, I fully agree with everything that you said. And I kind of see myself in that middle of the spectrum between middle curve and big brains, hopefully. But yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, I think it's kind of about, I mean, we're lucky because Bitcoin has the brand awareness, right? Where like other chains, it's going to be a lot harder to kind of come back from the NFTs being tarnished. So we kind of have like a new opportunity here. And my dad holds Bitcoin, everyone knows Bitcoin. So we have that. And then I think it's kind of just, if you think about like something like Apple, like what do they do really well? They make really good products that are extremely simple to people, and the marketing kind of speaks to people. So yeah, I think it's just about kind of positioning, like, why does this digital artifact change your life? Like, it's not traditional NFTs. Hopefully it's not like, the Ponzi's people are familiar with. It's like an actual experience. And talking about that experience, I think there's a lot of things in Ordinals that are like that. Like, you think about inscribing something permanent on Bitcoin. There's a lot of ways to position that. I mean, people love that. Like, people love putting their hand in cement and writing their name. Like, people love burying like a time box. There's just a lot of ways to kind of compress the tech and like everything you can do on Bitcoin down as simple as it can get to middle curve people.
Yeah, I just want to input that I think the mutability of Ordinals, like being on Bitcoin, is easier for me to explain to like my friends and family. Like my wife is a photographer, and so like it's been in a conversation for years. Like, where's the best place for her to put her online pictures, or where's the best place to preserve like photography, our traveling photography, or whatever it is. And I mean, honestly, like via Ordinals would probably be the best place for the longevity of it. Like, instead of step one, uploading it to like Facebook, or whatever, where you don't like really have, you could get banned, you could not have access to it anymore, or even like storing it on a computer. There's like no like guarantees on that. I guess you could do the cloud, but actually inscribing it as an ordinal, like that's a use case for me. I can kind of explain to an average person. They're like, okay, I can kind of see like the permanence in that.
Yep.
Or even just extend this to ETH NFTs or NFTs on other blockchains where like okay, so a lot of your NFTs on these other blockchains are on some like AWS server somewhere. We use this as a some AWS server, and I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think we just need to be aware of it. And those AWS servers cost money to run, and at some point, a lot of these NFTs will not. Somebody's not going to be paying the bill to host these images. But I say, look at this. Okay, what if we just take all those images and we put them on Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin can now host these for other blockchains? This actually creates a really interesting symbiotic relationship between these ecosystems. Maybe they're not competing. Maybe they're in harmony. And Bitcoin actually offers like this solution to that problem. Get off the AWS reliance. Bitcoin, it solves all the problems. So I think this is a really cool thing where like inscriptions and like the permanence of it actually solves a lot more problems than just like onboarding new users. It actually solves a lot of our existing problems.
Yeah, and like when tying that back to like our the word NFT dead, it's like I think it's almost not. It's like it's just like remember NFTs. It's like this is 2.0 and it's digital artifacts. Like I think that's exactly it. It's like it's better than NFTs because you're not storing on a third party. Like you're actually in control, and it's actually just a great way to archive work in some way.
Yeah, I'm about to shock Chris with this smart question because he called me middle of the middle of the road kind of guy. So, Spirits, Charlie, are you saying that ETH could use Bitcoin as a form of IPFS?
Yeah, you could. You would have to kind of reconfigure how the NFTs reference or pull from other pull their data, but yeah, you could theoretically launch an NFT on ETH, and instead of pointing to an IPFS server, you just reference a Bitcoin node. This is an interesting idea. It's a very simple idea, and it's kind of cool. Now your ETH NFTs aren't just kind of this. Now there's a little less risk to like them not being stored or hosted by someone. So I think this levels up everybody. It's a rising tide and it lifts all boats.
Yeah, that's a very, very good. That's a very good use of that. So, wow, I never really thought about that because usually what I hear from Bitcoiners is that ETH is dead, it's useless, it's Bitcoin is where it's really at, and now you're saying no, we could work together. I like that. I never really heard that idea before.
I'm a big tent guy. I want everybody to get along and hold hands. And I mean, obviously, I prefer Bitcoin. I want to talk about why I think it's amazing. But I'm also going to come up with solutions that help people. I'm going to endorse those. So I think, yeah, I look for like the past few years have been just so PvP. They've been so competitive. It's been so negative. Now the ETH people hate the Bitcoiners hate everybody, and the Solana people used to be really optimistic, and now they hate everybody. They hate themselves. And
I was gonna say, yeah, they hate themselves.
They hate themselves. And the Tron people I don't know, Tron people are kind of interesting. But like, like it doesn't have to be that way. We can all get along.
Even Cardano people?
Even Cardano.
Watch your mouth. Chris is a Cardano person.
Even Cardano people. See, I'm not drawing the lines. It's a big tent. There's enough room for everybody.
Cardano people got a little mad at NFT the other day, at Magic Eden the other day. Actually, it was pretty funny.
What?
Because there's like compressed NFTs on Solana, so it was called like CNFTs, and we put out a tweet that was like, "Oh, we're enabling CNFTs. No, it's not Cardano FTs. You're okay." And I don't think they like that. And they started going nuts.
You guys do have a pretty savage intern, I'll say that. Whoever's running the accounts, they're pretty savage.
Why is every account run by the intern so you can fire and blame? Why doesn't the CEO run the account?
It's just fun saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the CEO just uses it as an excuse just to roast people and get their frustrations out.
Dude, I think that the idea of an intern running accounts, that's all smoke and mirrors. It's the CEO, and they need a black sheep to blame and to cast out if they tweet something bad. And they're like, oh, the intern, they were never part of the company. They're facing on the website. It's their problem. So yeah.
So Nick, why'd you tweet that about Cardano, bro?
It could have been me. I mean, I do have account. I have access to all the accounts.
He said could have been me.
I was in the replies. I was like, guys, come on, like, it's not that serious. I don't like when people can't handle a joke. I was running the Magic Eden Bitcoin account for a while. But yeah, I passed that along. So new intern. But there is like funny, like being cross chain, there is like funny, I'd say, drama between chains also sometimes. Like, there's some tension between certain chains, but everyone's very open to Bitcoin, actually. Everyone, like all the other chains that we have exposure to, they actually like they enjoy our Bitcoin content also, which is awesome, and kind of like makes me think that could be the future. What you're explaining.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was gonna ask you about was like trying to think of this. Like, what was the like? Do you think there was a major point in getting a separate account just for like a separate like X account or social medias for Bitcoin? Do you think in hindsight they should just like kept them on one account? Like, is there going to be like I don't know. There's not like a Solana account, There it was just kind of like Magic Eden. Would there be a other account?
Yes. So we started like the main, obviously on Solana, just pure Solana, and that was the main Magic Eden account. And then we like expanded EVM, like ETH, Polygon, and kind of learned that I don't think the Solana people were liking that, and they kind of felt like we were they felt like truthfully like we were abandoning them, which wasn't true. It was just like they were getting stuff on their feed they didn't want. So then that was even the case with our product too, like the website. We learned that like we shouldn't have this stuff on the homepage carousel, because I do think the future is like cross-chain still, but I think people have to be warm to it. So you can't really like force it when it's not ready. So that was like a lot of learnings there. And then we kind of decided it's probably better to just break up accounts by chain, have the main one be Solana focused, but also like interact depending on people's tolerance for each. And yeah, that's how we kind of noticed, there is more comfort with people. I think no one's fading Bitcoin, which is great. So, but yeah, it was a pretty interesting learning going cross chain. The first times when we weren't breaking things up. I think it is much better this way, actually.
I think it speaks a lot to the Magic Eden technical team, because Solana and ETH, I mean, when you guys launched Magic Eden, totally different ecosystems, different programming languages. There wasn't really a whole lot of cross-chain anything at the time as far as NFTs. And so being able to do that and then continue to add additional change, now they are EVM mostly, I think it at least demonstrates, because I've seen this since you've been in Bitcoin, since you add to Bitcoin, it demonstrates like broad technical competency, which is pretty big. Like being able to go from one chain to the next, it's not just like, it's not like the MetaMask experience. You're having to build and figure out all the nuts and bolts. They may as well be entirely different ecosystems. So shout out. I like your CTO's tweets. He's a smart guy.
He's the best. Yeah, his tweets about the auctions. That's what I mean. I'm sure you and Cypher could read that. I'm like, I need to translate this, but I know
exactly. Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad he's looking at it, because when we have people like him looking at it who understand the product, they can go and they can look at the kind of the weird, clunky technical stuff under Bitcoin. They can actually make it even more interesting. I like to say, like, Bitcoin, it is a more simple blockchain, but there's a lot that we haven't done with it yet. And if you have somebody like your CTO and other people like Cypher, like looking at how to do cool shit on Bitcoin, they're gonna rediscover things that a lot of the hardcore Bitcoiners haven't even thought of. It just because maybe they're not creative, maybe there wasn't a reason, I don't know. But yeah, so shout out to Magic Eden dev team.
Yeah, just Magic Eden as a
that's
whole.
An air horn right there, by the way.
Let's go.
Magic Eden as a whole, I feel like as a bystander was just like a really good pivot for them to do what they did, because like I know for me since the beginning, and I honestly, just because I probably traded more like on OpenSea or like very degen platforms like SudoSwap, and then Blur as of the last like year or so. But for me, I always associated like Magic Eden with Solana NFTs, and then there was a while where Solana NFTs just seemed like, the volume was just super low, except for like a bunch of like microtransactions. And there was even a while. I'm sorry, Nick. I know you're probably there on that time. I associated almost like how people associate like NFTs scams. I almost associated like Solana NFTs with like trash, And so
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Okay.
No. But coming full
Now
circle.
the show's getting good,
Hey,
Chris.
people will say that about inscriptions and ordinals too. It's
will.
an eternal recurring thing. This will happen to every ecosystem. It's a rite of passage, and you have to survive it. And once you survive it, then you've demonstrated like you are a real ecosystem. You got real shit. You have real people across a dynamic range of developers and collectors. Everything. This is going to happen to ordinals. It already kind of happened a bit, but it's going to happen again. And we just have to stomach it and get through it. I mean, yeah.
Trevor said it the other day, but like every time like there is like a low point in those like cycles, like every time you survive a low point, it just like strengthens the foundation of the company. And that's how I feel. I mean, it wasn't Magic Eden's fault that like Solana was associated with that, but it's just the way that it worked. Now, granted, there came out to be better projects on Solana with time. Trevor, bro.
Oh, Chris got Nick on his show. Is going to shit on him.
Yeah. Next week is just going to be Ken. I'm building all this up just to say I think the pivot was legendary. Some really great projects came, got known while on Magic Eden ecosystem, like DGods. So you guys made a good comeback. You had a huge pivot, and now one of the most known.
I thought you had a list to run through, Chris.
Not okay bears. For easy bodega dogs. I'm a holder of that. They're on Solana. Easy's a big Solana influencer. Yeah, I like those too. There are more of them. I still don't own many Solana NFTs.
Hey, I feel like we should go back to ordinals, or we're gonna have to change this to like Solana shit talking or something.
Solana.
So on ordinals, just how everybody just copied and pasted ETH NFTs, man. Like, that's what I associate with ordinals. You have these copied and pasted.
The first thing was the rocks, the punks, and
a bunch of memes. Yeah.
The grills.
I literally. I mean, I was quite early. I didn't think they would take off, so I was just putting like just dumb stuff on there, like super compressed, super pixelated, shitty. Like it looks like early 4chan memes from like late 2000s or something. Like that was the first kind of shit that I put up. So I mean, I might be doxing myself, but yeah, it's just dumb stuff on Bitcoin that I thought would never become popular, and here we are. 10 months later.
What's your most proud ordinal
your earliest
possession?
My most proud one, it's a very simple one. My most proud one is I just put my name or my handle, CB Spears. So you can figure that out. It's just text. I think it's the first text inscription. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
But yeah, it's CB Spears. So
it's
you
another air horn for that one right there, bro.
Nah, well, it means I can't sell it. Like, who's gonna buy it? Me?
I mean, I was gonna ask you, what's you don't have to dox the exact ones. What range is your earliest inscription number?
I'll just be broad. It was a lot of sub 1K. So
that's an air horn right there too. Now they're at 7 million or so.
We're closing on 40 million. Like it's 36, 37. Yeah, crazy.
When you said broad, I thought you were going to be like it was under 1 million. Somewhere between 1 and 1 million.
Well,
the activity slowed down a lot with BRC20, right? I think I saw your post the other day.
Yeah, I mean, after the Sats minted out, or the Sats BRC20 ticker minted out, we saw volume collapse. I mean, I can go check it. Let's just see what it looks like right now. I haven't checked in a couple days, but Let's see. Yep, down and to the right, as they say. I mean, we are looking at how many inscriptions per day?
I
We're only
think you could
looking at
share
a
your
few
screen
hundred
if you want
thousand.
to.
Oh yeah? Let me exile
Yeah,
all
yeah,
my
you could
top
share it.
secret stuff.
Yeah, don't not the
Wait, how
point
much?
the hub.
Yeah.
Word Hub's next venture.
Inspiration.
Yeah, sniping other people's streams. Did I share it there?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so this is so I don't know if you want content, this is the best content. It's data content. This is a Dune dashboard. The user is Data Always. They're a legendary ETH data analyst, and this is just kind of your go-to place to see what's happening. Daily inscription spending. So this is not the markets. This is rather the fees to the Bitcoin network. So how much are people paying to put their inscriptions on chain? And we saw, it's $200,000 per day. And now after the Sats minted out on the 24th or 25th, we saw that plummet to $40,000 in fees per day. So we can see, the number of inscriptions, number of BRT20s, number of fees, and actually, here's one of my favorite charts. I've talked about this chart all the time. It basically gives you like a snapshot of the rolling weekly inscription share. So it says like, are people inscribing JPEGs? Are they inscribing BRCs? Are they inscribing names? Are they inscribing like programs? So obviously the blue we saw early on, everybody's doing JPEGs, and then BRC20s come out, and then in May and April they explode, and the only thing anybody does. But now look, Sats mints out, and this blue here, which was at like 1 to 2%, is now actually 40 to 50% of the inscription share. So the way I look at it, I like to say that the blockchain is healing. I like to say that PFPs, images, and art are now kind of a more sizable chunk of inscriptions. When I think of an inscription, I think of an image. I know a lot of people love BRCs, but I think of the PFP and the art focused, idea. Now they can be a lot of things, but so yeah, this is a great dashboard. I highly recommend it. Dune.com/data always.
Yeah,
I
I
was
think that like
wondering.
I was just gonna say I think like trading volume followed this as well from like a marketplace perspective. I mean, I think BRC volumes definitely quieted down, and collectibles, which we call them, like images and everything, they've stayed pretty steady. So I think it's pretty interesting that that's also following. I mean, after Sats minted out, things kind of changed a bit on that front,
Yep,
which
you're
for us
right.
is good. Yeah.
Here's the volume by marketplace. It's been pretty minimal for the past few months, but still, I mean, look, it's a young ecosystem. It's 10 months old, and we're still doing. I'm gonna do some estimation. $250,000 a day in volume. Like it's not a ton, but it's still sizable. I feel like I'm not doing you guys justice. We should be going to Ninja Alerts to do this.
Hey, speaking of which, we got our mint coming
Nice.
up, and
Yeah.
our art is amazing. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I was just thinking about that when looking at the volume, because obviously, like our mint coming up is always on the back of my head.
Yeah,
Me too.
I've been on your site for a while. Where's the
Me
actual? And you've got like actual metrics somewhere. I forget. But yeah.
We haven't integrated the Ordinals metrics as of yet. We're currently launching that out right as I speak.
Oh
But
gosh.
we do track the number of Ordinals inscriptions.
Gotcha. Another one
Yeah,
of
we have,
Trevor's deals, Crypto Slam. Here you go.
we have the total number. We're releasing our tool as we roll out the mint. I think the roadmap. Go back to Ninja Alerts real quick. The roadmap should be under Ordinals and
Timeline.
yeah, timeline. Yep. And,
Also, this is really cool. I was telling Trevor and you guys, like, when you kind of put out the color theory piece, that was really cool.
The design white paper.
Yeah, the design white paper.
Super excited about it. Yeah, I think it turned out really great.
Yeah, you guys are crushing it. I'm definitely pumped. I think like I feel like, I mean, also when we think about like catalysts that will grow ordinals, it's gonna be just, we need more good content, like collections like this and good teams behind it in ordinals. And I think that's gonna keep happening over time. But yeah, I think there's a couple, catalysts like that coming up, including you guys, that I'm like super pumped for the ecosystem.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys that. You know, I'm definitely not trying to slam on anybody because I know there has been good mints, but like I don't know how consistently like solid projects are launching right now. You know, because like we're looking at volume and we're seeing volume low, but like how often do we see like either a project with like quality art or a project with utility or a project, like I again, I'm not saying there's none on ordinals, but like is that weekly? Is that daily? Is that monthly? Like what would you say? Or you maybe you can't say because you work for you work for marketplaces.
No, I think it's all out there in the market. I think right now it's actually kind of like this chicken and egg kind of thing. Like, I think there's some good catalysts upcoming, but everyone's being a little cautious with the volume levels in general on like the whole NFT landscape and everything. So I think it's and I think also with ordinals, the tricky thing is inscription costs. Sometimes that's another thing. That sometimes deters projects. But I think it'll get there. I think it's just a matter of people are just like, I could name a couple in my head that I probably can't even share, but you guys are obviously one of them. I think there's a couple, and I think eventually it'll keep building up, that there will be like good art, good teams that keep growing. I can't imagine that not happening. It definitely is more rare right now, that we even do launch mints. It's probably like only a couple a month now, where back in like April, like May, whatever, everyone was trying to. So yeah, I think it'll happen. It's just a matter of time, really, and like everyone feeling like it's the best economic time for them to do a mint.
Yeah, I'll chime in. It comes in waves, and uh, I've actually seen there's been a lot of collections which have already been inscribed but haven't been launched,
Yep.
and there's a huge backlog of those. And I would imagine some of the people who are behind them and the creators are kind of waiting for the market to heat back up. So these are people who I think have done a fantastic job of inscribing and executing the collection and the vision. They're just waiting now to execute timing. So yeah, I think there's plenty of art, plenty of great art already that the public has not really latched onto yet, and it's a matter of time.
Let's get speculative while we're there. We usually do not financial advice a couple times a week. Like, what's it gonna take for more ordinals adoption? Do you think that this is gonna go naturally with the rest of the market, to where like when we see like an upside with the rest of NFTs, the rest of crypto, that will naturally see ordinals? Do you think it's gonna take something different? Like, what is it that people are waiting for to heat up, in your opinion?
I have
Yeah.
probably a not super sexy take, which is, um, look, we see this every cycle, and that's all the people who were around last cycle sit on their hands, and we build stuff, we do cool stuff, but we sit on our hands saying like, what can we sell back to ourselves? The same 100,000 people. And what really needs to happen is we need the next wave of new users to be onboarded into Bitcoin and broader crypto. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And I can't tell you what I think it's going to have to be. Even more like, we talk about the normies in NFTs and crypto right now. I'm talking about like normies compared to those people, like the moms and dads who are going to ape into whatever kind of boomer shit that they're into. um, we just need that next level of just overall user adoption. And I think that's probably going to be things, I don't know, the BlackRock type stuff. People are talking about the hedge funds getting in and the
ETF.
ETF. Those types of events will just bring people back. It'll bring moms and dads in. It'll bring in all your normie friends who don't want to hear you talk about it. They'll actually want to get in, and they'll be calling you, and you'll have to figure out what to do. But that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I feel like two things on our like roadmap that we factor in. is like our UX, just creating the best experience that people can, we draw them in, and it's really easy and simple. When we get moms and dads as exit liquidity, like, they know how to do it. And then I think just like innovation. Yeah, I feel like it's just like building experiences that they don't even kind of realize that they're in ordinals. And I think like inscriptions are great of that. I mean, when we were looking at the BRC20 volume of inscriptions, it's like people don't even realize they're inscribing those transfer functions because of the experience on the front, that they're just like trading what they feel like is a fungible token. So I think you could build a pretty cool experience that speaks to people and just power it by inscribing ordinals, and the whole like appeal that we were talking about, that something's going to be on chain forever. I think it just has to get built, and but yeah, people like won't even realize. And again, I think we're lucky that we have Bitcoin, that the moms and dads and everyone does know what it is. It's just a matter of, I think, building the experience that they want.
And I was wondering, this question goes to both of you guys. Is Runes a BRC20 killer? And how important is Runes to the rebrand of Ordinals or Ordinals 2.0?
I've had a few takes on this. I don't think it is. Casey has very specifically said that it's a solution to one of the issues with BRC20. And you brought up the word UTXO, Ken. It's because when there's a lot of UTXOs, Bitcoin performance tends to suffer. We think this is probably a bad thing. Runes says we're going to solve that problem. But Runes has nothing to do with ordinals, really. That's the thing. Runes may as well be it just happens to be from the same guy who came up with the idea as ordinals. And it looks like he wants to try to like put Runes into the Ord client. Remains to be seen how that'll integrate. But I also had a tweet which was, I just hope we see net more shitcoin wealth on Bitcoin. I want both ecosystems to grow, and I would like BRC20 as a protocol to figure out the UTXO problem. I don't know how it does. Runes solves it, but I just think there's for BRC20 and Runes, there's a dozen other types of fungible token techniques you can do on Bitcoin right now that nobody's talking about. And I think it'll just be a matter of time if any of those other ones catch on. The only reason Runes is popular is because Casey came up with it, and everybody listens to Casey. There's a bunch of other crazy ideas like that that are just not as widely circulated.
So they could work symbiotically in your like hand in hand. Like
they could.
Nobody dies.
They could. I don't like either of them, but
okay.
I'm trying to be positive. Okay, I'm trying to be positive. I don't like either of them, but I think they don't have to compete.
Charlie, do you not like them from a build perspective, or from just like shitcoin perspective? What's your take on that?
A little bit of both. I think so many Bitcoiners get consumed with trying to like prevent shitcoinery, and people say Bitcoin's inevitable. I say shitcoin is inevitable. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's going to happen, so you may as well embrace parts of it. I struggle to think that a fungible token on Bitcoin's base layer makes sense. I think these are things, fungible token standards make a lot more sense when you put them on what we call Bitcoin layer 2s, or I say just kind of abstractions from Bitcoin. That's where it makes sense to me long term. But in the short term, it's where the users are. This is the Trevor argument. The users are on Bitcoin L1. They want to do fungible tokens on L1. I just disagree, and I think they shouldn't. That's not where they should be long term. So that's my like take on that. I try to be nuanced about it. Look, I'm also a Bitcoin miner, so they create more fees for me. So I'm not gonna like detract from it too much, because it's important to my business. Yeah.
So Trevor's on the side of people aren't going to go out of their way to transfer their Bitcoin to an L2 just to trade these shit coins.
Oh, I think he'd say they would. I think. Well, again, I'm not Trevor. I've listened to. I've talked to him enough that I think we all have to imagine what he might say, which is like users are gonna they want something, and the demand is gonna drive the
Yeah.
liquidity. And right now, the demand is on Bitcoin L1, so therefore the liquidity for these fungible tokens is on L1. If it goes to L2s like Lightning or RGB or Stacks, then users will want to bridge or move their funds to those platforms. But we just haven't seen that take as much get as much traction.
What do you
So
think? What do you think is going
yeah,
to need to happen for that to happen?
I think the Bitcoin L1 is going to have to get expensive. When it gets expensive, all of this shit breaks. And that's really the thing that I'm talking about. It's like BRC20, when Bitcoin gets more expensive, BRC20 actually runs into scalability challenges. And it's going to have to figure out how to settle these transactions. And it's going to have to go to some L2 somewhere. So I like to say, why don't we just go there already? Because it's going to be painful and complex to get to that L2. And in the meantime, we're going to create all these weird, like, um, things on Bitcoin, which we're going to look back and probably regret. But, um, at the same time, more people using Bitcoin. I can't hate that too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to plug real quick. Trevor's other company, Bitcoin Frontier Fund, and that we are currently investing into startups on Bitcoin, including ones you just mentioned, like Lightning and Stacks, and we're investing in other Ordinals, DLCs. So yeah, we're
Alex.
yeah. So I feel like that contributes as well to the growth, and we're still accepting applications for that up until October 31st. But to be able to make it, make it more attractive and have really cool stuff on these L2s. And it's been really cool, just kind of in that process of learning about what everybody's building and developing. Trevor
So
also agreed with your take, Charlie. He said, agree with your take. Sustain 200 to 500 sats, V bytes before L2s take off. Trevor just needs to be up here, man. He needs to be just like, call.
We can get an
Usually,
AI Trevor. Well, he's talked so much that we can just run it through an AI
right?
model, have him join, and he's gonna be the
One-
first person to really use AI to like recreate himself online. He's got enough reference material. I'm looking forward to AI Trevor Owens.
yeah, we could just take all the spaces that he runs, which is a lot, and basically use all that, use that voice, use that information, that thought process, and just be able to run the shows.
So let me get this right. Let me get this straight. Out of everybody in the world, Michael Jackson, anybody at all that you could bring back with AI, you guys want to recreate Trevor Owens.
Trevor it's gonna pop up. Trevor thinks it's a brilliant idea. Trevor's all about efficiency. I get it. Look, I mean, how many Twitter spaces is Michael Jackson on? 0. How many Twitter spaces is Trevor
His
on?
catalog
Every
is
single
long.
one. He doesn't miss one.
Inscribe it so it's immutable. It lasts forever too.
Yeah.
You can't take that AI down.
True.
Trevor probably
Black
like it,
Mirror.
man. He'd just be chilling, sleeping, and you'll just see his little avatar like this. And good morning, Bitcoiners! Welcome to.
Oh.
He'd just be chilling, man.
So I
Sweet.
do have
Yeah, and
real
no,
quick
I'll-
one last question before we go. So you, Charlie, you did say you want people off L1. Does that technically make you a laser eye maxi that these guys be talking about, or what?
The laser-eyed maxis like me enough because I've been around the block enough, and they're afraid to kick me out. So it's a matter of time, but I think they're afraid to kick me out. Look, I would say I'm a hardcore Bitcoiner, but I'm open-minded and I try to be inviting. I don't want people off L1. I want people to use L1 for like the things that matter, and I want people to use it more, so that, as Trevor said, and as I think a lot of people say, it gets more expensive and more valuable. So then people want to go and do their high frequency stuff and their more complex operations on L2s, and because that to me is a sign of a healthy ecosystem. Why would you ever have an L2 if nobody uses the L1? The whole point of the L2 is to allow scalability, but if you don't need anything to scale for because nobody's using the base layer, then I think that's a broken ecosystem. So why am I a hardcore Bitcoiner who likes inscriptions? I'm one of the few. I'm like the unicorn, right? It's because I want people to use Bitcoin. I want people to do the things they want. It's permissionless. I want them to be creative. I want to bring hundreds of thousands of new people to this ecosystem, and Bitcoin's permissionless. Bitcoin can't stop people from putting their PFPs on it, and that's why it's so cool. Because if anybody can put a PFP on it, that means anybody can transfer money and hold their own keys in a despotic regime. Bitcoin could do the things that it's supposed to do, like be the uncensorable money. That's the whole point. That's why we're here. The PFPs, those are fun. That's culture, but the PFPs signify something much deeper, which is revolution, and that's why I'm here.
There
Yeah, I
was
feel like that's not talked up about. That's not talked about enough with like Laser Eyes. I actually think it's like the best onboarding for to orange pill people. It really is. Like, I mean, I can name people who almost were like not too deep into Bitcoin, but you start with Ordinals and you go down the funnel. It's like perfect for that.
Absolutely. My comment was a little less serious, but you said you're a unicorn of Bitcoin. There really is a Charlie the Unicorn YouTube series from
Yeah.
like 15 years ago.
I brought that upon myself.
Somebody needs to inscribe that whole series.
Hit me up. We can do it. We can do it cheap. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Well, Charlie, Nick, it was fantastic having you guys on tonight. Feel free to come on anytime and kick it with us on the Bitcoin Ordinals banter, as Ken likes to call it.
Oh my god!
Any closing thoughts either of you guys have?
I'm glad you got the stream back up. I'm bullish on streaming on X. I'm bullish on streaming anywhere. There's not enough streaming content in Ordinals, and there's only a handful of us. You guys, me. There's the Ordinals Revolution. There's only a handful, so the more streaming, the better.
Yeah, I gotta get a nice streaming setup going, and I can join the club. Nothing really for me though. We have I guess my only plug is we kicked off auctions, so hopefully, yeah, see some cool auctions going on in the space, and hopefully, I don't know, are you guys? I know Charlie's going. Are you guys all going to Bitcoin Amsterdam? Hopefully.
Oh, we forgot to talk. We forgot to talk about that. I think my just had
your camera's dead.
Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah, we forgot to talk about Bitcoin Amsterdam. Trevor will be there on behalf of Ninja Alerts and Bitcoin Frontier Fund. I won't be there. I don't think Ken will be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there in full form. Yeah, I'll see you. The parties, the conference. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to. There's a Bitcoin conference at the same time. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the Bitcoin conference because I'll be too busy doing ordinal shit. So that's where I'll be. You'll find me there.
Let's go.
Oh, cool.
Heck yeah. Last plug too. This is Chris, not Trevor. It just happens to be Trevor's PFP still. We are still filling up our allow list on the Ninja Alert site. So if you want to secure yourself one of our first 300 ninjas, just go through to ninjaalerts.com to the Ordinals tab, and it kind of walk you through that on exactly what you need to do to secure your allow list. Anything else, Ken?
Sounds good. We'll be back again. We're gonna reboot this show. We're aiming at Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30, about an hour a show. Talk about Ordinals, get to know what's going on in the Ordinals ecosystem, and of course, Chris got coffee coming soon. You know, the special Ninjas coffee that he's pushing for our Ninjas Alert mint coming up, and that's pretty much it for me, Chris.
Sweet. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks, guys.